What's going on, fight fans? So let's talk about the UFC middleweight class right now. So as we know, Marvin Vettori, he recently just beat Kevin Holland in a primetime television event. It's pretty cool to see. If you didn't see UFC on ABC2, not a bad fight. You know, not as good as the Max Holloway versus what was my man's name? Calvin Kattar. Yeah, Calvin Kattar over there from Boston. Yeah, that was a great fight. The Marvin Vettori headline versus Kevin Holland, it was not a bad fight. Marvin Vettori got to show us exactly who he is as a fighter, and I'm hearing mixed reviews from people about what they think. You know, I got a Twitter comment saying that, you know, he's a boring fighter, and I didn't really know where all that was coming from. During his fight with Kevin Holland, I was pretty impressed because he was being tagged, you know, getting hit left and right on the feet, but his forward pressure is what really carried him through the fight. It seemed like whenever Kevin Holland would get into a rhythm, that's when he would take his chance to go in for a shot, you know, wrap his arms around Kevin Holland's waist, and you know, he was determined to get those takedowns. He was so determined, in fact, he broke the takedown record for the middleweight class division. I think it was, what was it, 11, 12, 13, something like that, right? Now that tells me two things. Number one, he needed to take Kevin Holland down. Number two, Kevin Holland couldn't stop the takedown. And number three, I know I said two, but number three is if the fight was standing up, Marvin Vettori would have been in trouble. So that leads me to the next point. What's next for Marvin Vettori? He called out Israel Adesanya. He wants that rematch. But standing in his way are two very qualified folks that are, number one, Robert Whittaker is ranked ahead of Marvin Vettori, and number two, Kevin Gastelum had a performance of the year fight against Israel Adesanya. So what are the chances that Marvin Vettori bypasses the winner of Whittaker versus Gastelum? Now that fight goes down on April 17th. If you didn't know, that's coming up right around the corner, April 17th, 2021. So I'm anxious to see that fight, and I don't know how well Marvin Vettori stacks up against either guy. Let's say Kevin Gastelum beats Robert Whittaker, and Robert Whittaker ends up fighting Vettori or Brunson. I would think that it would be a Vettori fight. Now Marvin Vettori versus Whittaker, the takedown defense is better for Robert Whittaker, I think. I don't know that for sure, but I would assume it's better than what Kevin Holland has. Also, the striking from Robert Whittaker and the aggressiveness from Robert Whittaker versus Marvin Vettori, I think that Robert Whittaker, you know, he takes that fight 8 times out of 10. That's just my opinion without seeing them fight. I think that he's just way more aggressive. He has more of an assortment of strikes, kicks, punches. Vettori, I haven't watched a lot of his fights, so I got to watch some more. I saw his Jack Hermanson fight, saw the Kevin Holland fight, and then I looked at Marvin Vettori's record. You know, his record for his wins, he has 9 wins by submission. So that tells me that, yeah, a lot of the times he needs to get the fight to the ground. And he has 6 wins by decision and only 2 wins by knockout. So I don't see him knocking out Robert Whittaker, but it could happen. And I don't see him submitting Robert Whittaker. So he'd have to win a decision. That means he'd have to win the battle with the takedowns. So you see where I'm going with that? I don't know if that's possible. I really don't. And Marvin Vettori versus Kevin Gastelum, you know, Kevin Gastelum, he's more willing to wrestle. So that would be an interesting matchup too. But the point is, Marvin Vettori bypassing Kevin Gastelum or Robert Whittaker for a title shot, very unlikely. But I will say that I'm entertained by Marvin Vettori, man. He's true to who he is, man. He's a dog. He's not going to run from it. A quote that he had before the Kevin Holland fight was, he said that, well, the question was, do you think that Kevin Holland's going to beat you? Something like that. And his response was, he thinks he's more, he has more cardio, more resilience, and more durability than Kevin Holland, and he won the fight. So those characteristic traits that he laid out, they tend to really showcase themselves. And the Jack Hermanson fight, even that fight was a dog fight, and I had to go back and watch it because I vaguely remember it. But even there, you know, Vettori was getting his takedowns, and I believe Hermanson, does Hermanson have a submission background? Either way, Marvin Vettori, he won that fight too, so it doesn't even matter. Marvin Vettori, man, he's ranked number 6 right now. The rankings should be coming out either Tuesday today or tomorrow, Wednesday. So we'll keep an eye out for the middleweight rankings. In the meantime, in between time, Israel Adesanya is simply in waiting mode. He's waiting to see which fighter rises to the top. One curveball, Jared Cannonier, he broke his ulna in his forearm. You know, he broke that, and it's been just about 6 months. Maybe we're at the 5-month mark, and it takes about 6 months to heal. So from what I read in the blog reports is that he's looking to come back not anytime in the immediate future. So I would expect we're gonna probably see him late summer, mid fall, and that's someone else who's in top contention, you know. So Vettori versus Cannonier, that's a possibility too. The ghost of the whole situation that no one's really talking about is Derek Brunson. Derek Brunson, he's fought multiple up-and-coming fighters, and he shut most of them down. So Derek Brunson, he's looking to get a high category fight against Paulo Costa. We'll see what happens, man. So let me know what you guys think about the middleweight division. Where is it going? What matchups do you want to see? It's a crazy time, man. It's a crazy time. We just need these fights to come out. We need these fighters to fight and put on the show. Anyway, that's what I got to say. Natural Grappler, I'm out.